Hello boys and girls, it's Mrs. Brown here, and I hope you enjoyed the video from SciKids that was all about insects. And now I want to show you some of the insect parts that we focus on a little bit more in kindergarten. If you can look closely at this drawing of my little insect, it could be any insect. I drew the insect here, and if you look, there are 3 body parts. They're called the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. And you can see here, head, thorax, abdomen. And those are the 3 main body parts. And then over here, I do this really cool word. It's called exoskeleton. You learned about that a little bit in the video too, but it's the hard outer covering of the whole insect because they don't have skeletons. They have what's called the exoskeleton, which means it's on the outside. Like exit means go outside. Exoskeleton means the outside of the insect. So their skeleton is on the outside of them, and it kind of protects them from predators, okay? And then the next part was that they all have 6 legs. So you can count here, they're coming out of the thorax there, the 6 legs on the insect. And then the next thing that I did was that they usually have 2 antennae coming out of their heads. Okay, so those are the main parts that we study in kindergarten for the parts of an insect. So if you were to draw an insect for me, you would want to make sure you had all of those things. 3 main body parts, a head, a thorax, and abdomen. You would want to, you can't really draw the exoskeleton, it's just kind of the outside, but you would want to make sure you drew the 6 legs and the 2 antennae. Okay, so there are numbers there to help you. 3 main body parts, 6 legs, and 2 antennae. And then I also know that some of you are thinking, but Mrs. Brown, some insects have other parts. And you're right. So up here, I wrote that some insects have, and I'm thinking more about insects like bees and butterflies, those kind of insects. And those have usually 2 or 4 wings. Okay, and I'll be reading you some books. Like down here, I'm going to read you a book about beetles. Ladybug is a kind of beetle. I'll read that. And then I have a fiction book over here that I want to read to you about a click beetle. Okay, and those particular insects typically have 4 wings, and we'll talk more about that when we read those books. And then the last one, if it's a bee or a wasp or some other kind of insect, it's going to have a stinger. And I know some of you are thinking that, so I want to make sure I covered that when we talk about all the insect parts. Okay, so when it's time for you to draw an insect for me, don't forget these are the parts that you're going to want to have. 3 body parts, the head, the thorax, the abdomen, the 6 legs, usually coming off of that middle section, the thorax, and then 2 antennas. Okay, all right.